Here is a rough conceptual design of a contemporary spice rack. It's pretty small. It's something that would sit on a kitchen counter, and it has these coopered doors, two doors. Let me just rotate one out so you can see it. And they don't meet in the center. There are two staves in that door, in the left door, and then there are three in the right door. And I want to show how I go about making these staves and creating the information needed to work in the shop to make those coopered doors. So I've brought just the bottom and the two sides over here to work with. And then the first thing I'm going to do is find the center point of the arc for this bottom, because there it is. I just right click on that arc and then find center, and I've got it. Now I can draw another circle that is a concentric circle that makes the arc of the door position. So I've got on the blue axis, and I touch that little corner there where the door is flush with that, and it creates that arc. Now I changed to 96 sides. I wanted a little bit more precision on that arc, so that's why I did that. And I don't need the full circle. I just need this arc that is here between those 2 points. And I'm going to draw a straight line there and divide that line, right click, divide, and then find 5. I want 5 segments. That's what I've got now. So that makes up the 5 staves, and I can find those endpoints and create those angles that I'm going to need for 5 staves, the joints in those staves. I can now delete that since I've got those rays there. So the next thing I would like to do is create the staves, and those staves will be 5/16 wide. So I need to create an arc that is concentric and offset 5/16. So I used the offset tool to create that arc that gives me the inside face then of the staves. And if I just double click with this tool, the tape measure tool, then I can locate the joints of the staves and the angles required for those staves. So I'll draw a border here between these 2 staves. Down at the end, I have to do an extension of this line over to the side, and then draw another line here. And now I should have, yes, I've got a stave, and I'm going to make that a component and number it. I'll call it stave L for left, and then 1. So there are 2 staves in the left door. So now I've got a component. Here it is, and that is actually how the shaped stave will look at the end. If I just edit that and use the push-pull tool and raise it up, that makes the finished stave. So now I'm working on the next stave in that door, but there needs to be a little gap between the left door and the right door. So I'm going to make that gap 1/16 of an inch, and then draw the edges of these two. Well, you have to get down pretty close to make sure that I've got those X's showing the intersection. So zooming in on this kind of work is pretty important. So now I've got the gap in here between the left and the right doors. But I need to make this second stave. So I make component, and I'm going to call this stave L2. And then I just need to go through the rest of these the same way, creating each one of these final shapes of the staves. And again, I gotta zoom in here carefully and stop talking and pay attention to my intersections here. And so the next little bit here, I don't need to repeat. I can just rush through it and go to the next step of the process. So now I've got all of these staves set up as components, and I can go to the next stage here. But first, just let me show you, I can edit one of these staves and just use push-pull and bring it right up to the full height here. And so I could do that with all those to show the finished stage of the staves. However, to make these things, you need to start out with rectangular stock. And these are 5/16 finished, shaped. So I need to make the rough staves out of 3/8 material. And I need to know the angles and all these joints details. So I'm going to bring a copy over to the right here of all of these finished staves and create all new rough staves when you use rectangular lumber to make these things. And the first thing I'm doing is making the components unique, because these will be different components than the ones that we just had. So I just made them all unique numbered now, and these will be the rough rectangular shapes that are 3/8 using 3/8 wide stock. So let's start here with this left one. I'm going to draw a straight line from end to end right here. I edit the component, draw that straight line, and then I want to copy that straight line parallel to that. And then you see that magenta color or pink color, that shows the perpendicular parallel arrangement, and I just typed in 3/8. So now I've got a 3/8 parallel line, and I can fill in the ends here and clean up at that end. And now I need to extend this straight line over to the joint. Here's the joint needs to be extended. I've got the color that I need, the magenta that shows that it's in line. And now I need to extend this line, but I see I didn't extend it enough, so let me bring that out. Now I can remove the waste here and get rid of the shaped curvatures, and I've got my rectangular rough lumber stave that would be glued, for example, to the adjacent stave. And I can close that, or if I just edit that component, I can see that it does indeed raise up to the full height. And now I can move on to the next 4 of these and do that same action, and that is that same process. Edit the component, draw a straight line from end to end on the inside edge, and then copy that line parallel to it 3/8 of an inch. Watch for that perpendicular parallel edge, that coloring there. Type in 3/8, and now I can finish up and make the rough stave at 3/8 rectangular. I've made a separate video in this playlist where I finish the process.